All right, welcome to the show. Your host, Kelly Taylor here. I am not doing video for the intro of this podcast, but don't worry, you will have video when we go into the interview. What am I saying? Welcome to I Feel Fat Today. Appreciate you being here. Okay, please follow us on social media at I Feel Fat Today, and you can follow me, your host, Kelly Taylor, at Hello, This is Kelly on Instagram. You will find out when new episodes are dropping there, clips from the show, everything over at I Feel Fat Today. And please follow us on YouTube. Please subscribe to us on YouTube, where you have full video episodes like the one you're listening to right now. Head over there and give this video, if you enjoy it, a thumbs up. That helps push us out into the algorithm so that more people can find us. Subscribe to us over there on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And over on Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review. Again, it lets people know that people are listening to this podcast, and it gets the word out there so that we can get more followers. All right. I think that's all I got. There's also an email address. People don't seem to want to email the email address. We used to get more. But if you want to send me your thoughts on the show, or pose a question that you need some advice on, you can send us an email over at ifeelfattoday@gmail.com. Reach out. Love to hear from you. All right. I don't have much to get into before I bring on this week's guests. As of me recording this, there is a new moon eclipse in Libra, which I'm not the best at knowing what's happening with astrology or the moon, but I try to follow it to some extent. And anytime I do something under a full moon or a new moon, I feel like I need to follow it. I need to see it through. And so 2 weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago now, I did a lot of work around the full moon that was in Pisces. And again, I don't know if the work I did had any bearing on my life, but a lot of changes happened after that full moon. So now that tonight is as of me recording this, a new moon in Libra. It feels like I should, because I'm a Libra and I'm running on energy. I'm running on energy. Wow, what a profound thought. No, I need to, apparently, if you really manifest under this new moon, you're going to be setting yourself up for success over the course of the next 6 months, which is something that I need. So that's what I'm going to be doing after I record this, part of what I'll be doing. And yeah, okay. So I think what I'm going to do this episode, since I don't have the camera going, and I'm really excited about my interview this week, I'm just going to introduce my guest to the show. She is visiting us from California, and so I feel so lucky that I was able to snag her for an hour during her visit here. This week's guest is stand-up comedian Jihan Sabir. Amazing. We'll get it started. What's up? How are you?
Good. How are you?
Freshly in New York.
Yes, I just arrived.
From LA, right?
Yep, from LA.
Okay. So are you from the West Coast, or are you an East Coaster? Where are you from?
I'm from the West Coast, but I'm from the Bay Area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I moved to LA probably almost 10 years ago.
Oh, great. Did you start comedy in San Fran, Bay Area?
No.
No, okay.
I know, I'm weird.
No, it's my boyfriend's now a New York City comic, but he was a Bay Area comic to start.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like an LA comic, and then when I go home to the Bay, people are like, well, where are you from? I'm like, I'm from here. But I didn't start comedy here, so.
Yeah, that's like me with Jersey. Like, I'm from Jersey. I've lived in New York almost 10 years, and like 6 years ago, I started comedy in New York. So it's the same thing. When I go to Jersey, it's like I'm from Jersey, but I'm a New York comic.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, but great. Awesome. So you just landed.
Yep.
You have a week ahead of you. So you grew up in the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was like at home? Was it mom, dad, siblings? What was going on at your like nuclear family?
So I'm the youngest of 5.
Okay.
And we're a blended family. So, and I came so very late. So I didn't live with most of my siblings because they were adults.
Okay.
So really it was just me and my sister who's right above me.
Okay.
And my parents were married until I was about 4 or 5, and then they divorced. And then I lived with my mom, but I saw my dad all the time.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, for me, it was pretty normal because my parents got divorced when I was so young
Yeah.
that it was just like, oh, this is just how it is.
Yeah.
I didn't have the same kind of like trauma of like my parents being divorced as maybe my siblings did.
Right.
But you know.
Yeah, because for your siblings, it would have happened at maybe more pivotal times, like in the teen years, the middle school years. But when you're a kid, I don't really even have memories from before 5 o'clock. So 5 o'clock.
Me neither, girl.
It's literally though.
I know. I got here and then I said good morning to someone. They're like, good morning. I was like, I don't know what time it is. I've been awake since 3.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. When it's a travel day is such a wash. But yeah, I don't really have memories of like before 5. So you probably don't even have that many memories of like your parents being together.
I mean, vague. I have very fuzzy, vague memories of my dad living at our house and everything. But you know, I definitely don't remember like them fighting or anything like that.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. So, how much older is your sister? You said.
Mm-hmm.
How much older is she?
The one right above me.
Yes,
she's 8 years older.
Wow. So even then, like.
Dude, my mom is crazy.
Let's hear it.
Well, so my dad came to the relationship with 2 kids. My mom came to a relationship with 1 kid, and then they had 2 of us together. Mm-hmm. And I swear my mom would have a kid and wait just long enough to forget what it was like to have a kid and then have another kid. So we're each born in different decades.
Wow.
So my oldest sister's born in the 70s. My middle sister was born in the 80s, and I was born in the 90s.
Amazing. Yeah. That's so great. And your birthday's coming up, right?
Yeah, next week.
When's your birthday?
October 9th.
I'm October 10th.
Oh, my God.
Libra
sister.
Oh, my God. Okay, we're going to divert a little bit into some, like, I'm not that good with astrology, but I know like everything. I know everything about Libras because I am one. But are you at all into like the eclipses or the moon or anything like that?
No, I don't pay attention to any of that.
Oh, okay. It's kind of like forced upon me because it's just my entire algorithm. But apparently Libras are going through it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with like these eclipses, and apparently we'll have some respite soon, so that'll be good.
Oh, good, because that tracks.
Yeah, but isn't I think that, and then I'm like, isn't life hard for like everybody?
Yeah. I guess it's so broad that it kind of can apply to anyone. You know, that's why I don't really pay that close attention to everything. I'm just kind of like, all right, I'm just living my life or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's just fun to be like, I'm a Libra.
I know, I love it. I love it.
What does that mean? I don't know.
But anytime I meet someone and I find out they're a Libra, I'm like, it tracks.
No, anytime I meet someone and we like vibe, and then I'm like, oh, I find out they're a Libra. I'm like, oh, that's why she liked me. That's why I liked her.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like, oh, okay, she's really pretty. Like, of course she's a Libra. Oh, man. Okay, so I noticed because I have a younger brother that's 6 years younger than me. He's kind of like an only child. He didn't have the same parenting that my brother and I, who's only 2 years older than me, had.
Yeah, for sure. We all had like slightly different experiences. Mine probably being the most different.
Yeah.
Than my older siblings, especially like with my dad. But I mean, I was with my sister until about like 10 or 11. She went to college for a couple of years, and then she came back, and I lived with her again until she moved out when she was like, I don't know, 22 or something.
Right,
like,
right.
Yeah, so it was kind of like, I was an only child. I got like maybe 2 years in.
Right, right, yeah. Of like truly being alone.
Yeah, exactly. Of like having my own room and everything. But you know, either way, I always was like, ooh, I want another sibling. My mom was like, no, I'm done.
I'm done.
She's like, she got a hysterectomy after me.
She's like, I have Gen X children. I have millennial children. I cannot have any Gen Z children.
No. Well, and she had, like, my mom had a lot of issues and stuff. And so she had to get a hysterectomy. She didn't do it, like, take it out.
Yeah, no one gets an elective hysterectomy. If she wanted to like have permanent birth control for her body, it would be like tubes tied or something.
Yeah. So she just had to get one. But I used to always say, because my mom, she had me when she was 40 years old.
Wow.
She was already in perimenopause.
Wow, Renaissance woman.
She thought I was the flu. And I tell her, best flu you ever had.
Spoken like a true Libra.
And what's crazy is, before me, I don't know how long before me, but she got pregnant with twins.
Wow.
But then she miscarried.
That's rough.
Yeah, and then she had me however long later. And I used to joke and be like, you know, that's very sad that happened, but it was good news for me. Because they would have ruined your uterus.
Yeah. If those twins came along, there would be, wow. I know.
It.
So funny. So funny how that works out. You like, oh man. Okay, so was your mom like a particularly fit person? Like, did she care about her health, or like what was?
No, my mom's always been like a bigger lady. Like, my mom's very tall. She's 5'10", and she's always been on the more plus size, even when she was younger. And then in her like 40s and 50s probably is when she was like her heaviest. So she was like her biggest then. And then now she's in her 70s, so she's come down quite a bit, but still like plus.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, never had.
So when was do you recall when the concept of dieting was first introduced to you? Like, once you realized what dieting was?
I guess probably around like maybe 8 or 9. Like, my mom would have oh, this is so funny. So she used to always buy like lean cuisines.
Oh yeah.
And what were those? The Slim Fast
Yeah.
shakes. The Slim Fast shakes.
You are a baby of the 90s.
Yes. And she would buy this stuff and not eat it, which is hilarious to me. And then I would end up eating it. I come home from school and I'm like, ooh, a milkshake, you know?
Yeah, candy. Yeah.
Right. I'm drinking Slim Fast. There's no way that was healthy.
No.
Like, there's absolutely no way that was healthy. And she would buy like the tapes. Like, she bought Tybo.
Oh, of course. I loved Tybo. Tybo was fun.
My mom never did Tybo, but I did. Yes. We used to, my best friend would come over, we'd pop the tape in and be like little kids like doing Tybo.
Yeah.
Because it was like fun.
It was so fun.
And then when I got older, like, I was like, where's those Tybo tapes? And I would put those in like when I was like 19 and do the Tybo for exercise, you know? But yeah. I mean, I don't think, like, you know, I remember seeing those things as a kid, but I never thought of it like I should do that or anything like that.
Right. You didn't feel pressured?
No. Also, when I was really young, I was really skinny.
Oh, you grew up, you were a skinny kid.
Yeah, like my dad, because my dad was slim and tall. And I didn't start plumping up until I was like around 11 or 12.
Puberty.
Yeah, and just, you know, I was a latchkey kid.
Yeah.
You know? And so, you know, and
going home and drinking Slim Fast and then having dinner.
Yeah.
Because the Slim Fast is a meal.
Apparently. I didn't know. I thought it was a milkshake. It looked like one. I was like, this looks so good.
Yeah. And they weren't that bad for the time.
No.
When there was no options, it was great.
Yeah, it was not healthy at all.
No.
But it tasted good. But yeah, lean cuisines were not good.
No.
Back then.
No.
They weren't good. But yeah. I didn't. Yeah, when I started getting boobs in like 7th and 8th grade.
7th and 8th grade getting boobs.
Yeah.
I don't think I got boobs until they weren't noticeable until I was a little bit older. Was that weird? Like, were you one of the first girls in your class to get boobs?
Probably. You know what's so funny? I'm so bad. Like, I didn't pay attention to it. Like, I just didn't. And I didn't even notice really until one of my friends were like all in a circle talking, however middle school girls talk, you know, who knows what the hell they're talking about. And she just was like, "Oh, Jihan, you have enough for all of us." And I was like, "What?"
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, "Wait, what?" Like, my mom would buy my bras and I would just put them on. Like, I didn't even think about it. It's just like, you put them on.
Right.
And then I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I have boobs." And then so after that, then there was some like self-conscious about that. And oh my God, do you remember those Old Navy windbreakers that fold into a bag?
Yes. Yeah.
I used to wear one every day to like hide my boobs. Not a good job, by the way.
Yeah.
Like not even a little bit. And it didn't matter if it was hot. I'd be like sweating in this thing. Like it'd be sticking to me. It could be cold. Those were not good for anything really, for any kind of weather.
Right.
Because in the cold it would like tense up and be so icy on your skin, and then the warmth, it would just be sticky and stick to you. I'm like, who is this for?
Yeah, that fabric was the opposite of breathable. It had no it was just wildly uncomfortable. And so it's crazy that when you were like 7th, 8th grade, your boobs was like your first kind of like feeling of being uncomfortable with your body.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Boobs. Yeah, and my, you know, if you met my mom or my sisters or my grandmother, you would see chesty women run in my family. So I didn't even think about it because I'm just so used to seeing know, women with big boobs. And then so when I got mine, I couldn't get my bras from like Victoria's Secret or anything.
When you're like a middle schooler experiencing this.
Especially in high school.
Yeah.
So we went to this like specialty store that where they like measure you and size you and they order your bras.
Wow. So sorry, go ahead.
Well, yeah, that was like a big deal because a lot of the bras I didn't like them because they were kind of like quote unquote old lady bras.
Yeah.
You know, like which now are like so vintage and so cute and cool now.
You can get those on Amazon.
Right. They're like, oh, the girls now, they're like, oh, yes, a 1960s style bra. But when you're like 14, you're like, no, I don't want to look like an old lady. I want like the Victoria's Secret ones, which didn't support anyone, but they were like round. They made your boobs look round. Yeah. You know,
but you had natural bombshells. You didn't need the bombshell bra.
My bra was like gonna poke you in the eye, dude.
Yeah, you had to go to like Koreatown to get sized.
Dude, it looked like the robot from the Jetsons or something, or it was like something like that. To me, they were so pointy.
Yeah,
and I was just like, why?
Yeah.
And so that was a thing, and I was just like, ugh. But as I get older, I'm like, ooh, I would love a specialty bra.
Yeah. Oh my God. Do you ever watch Broad City?
Yeah.
There was this one scene where I think it was Alana's mom came into town. She's like, I'm going to get you girls size for a bra. And they like go to Chinatown and like they basically had like, for them, it's like the best fitting bra ever that's going to last them the rest of their life. But it's like a Frankenstein bra. It's like a C cup and a D cup like blended together. Just because like that's something, I wish something that is something that we learned about is like your boobs are different sizes. Maybe not all the time, but
different
like
sizes, and everyone's shape is different.
Yeah.
So like mine are wider at the top.
Yeah.
So like certain bras, they'll fit in the front, but then on the sides they'll spill over.
Yeah.
Because I'm wider at the top.
And it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And when you wear bras that don't fit, all of a sudden the wire is stabbing you.
And it just looks weird. Like you put clothes on and it looks weird to you and you're just like, what's happening? Why do I have a bubble here and a bubble here?
Yeah. I feel like I'm currently wearing a bra that like gives me like an oblong boob, just like a uni boob. That's just
one. You have Dolly on your shirt. I like that.
Yeah. I tell you, going I had to go to Kansas recently and I popped into a Goodwill there. Secondhand is alive and well in the Midwest.
Oh,
Like
yeah, and they have good
thrifting
stuff.
is not the same on the coast. Like thrifting, you got to go to the Midwest because that's where the actual cool stuff is there. And
Yeah, they
this
have good
was,
stuff, and it probably looks nice too.
and it was, this was, I think, $3.
Fantastic.
And I would never betray the Midwest by taking this and flipping it online for more money, because I know that's what people do with secondhand now, and I hate it. I'm against it. I'm very much against it. And it's like, no, you're supposed to wear it and enjoy it or give it away.
Yeah.
Okay, so your parents got divorced when you were young, so you lived with your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Did you partially see your dad, or was dad not?
No,
in the
I
picture?
always saw my
Oh,
dad.
okay.
I saw my dad every week. He was like the what they would call like the class mother, but he was the class dad.
Oh, well, it's such a nice energy. I love that.
Yeah, so he would be in class, like, you know, he'd come to class like once a week and, you know, do an activity. He always went on all the field trips with us and
so
everything.
fun.
And then I would see my dad every other weekend, like for our actual like visits. But then, yeah, I would see him.
So your whole life growing up was living in two different houses.
Yeah, kind of. You know what's so funny is I never thought of it as like living in two different houses, because it was like I live with my mom and like that's my house, and then when I'm with my dad, I'm just with my dad.
You're at your dad's house.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah, I never thought of it as like, oh, this is my second house.
So when you went to go hang out with dad, was it like a little bit of like party time, or like what was the vibe? Did it feel like a vacation a little bit to go over there?
I don't know. It depends. No, he'd always put us to work. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
Like, well, my dad, he was very entrepreneurial minded, and I guess I'm like that too. Like, my dad always had several, you know, pots on the
Yeah.
boil, right?
Right.
So he had his main 9 to 5, which at the time he was working graveyard, so that's how he could like do stuff at school and stuff, because he didn't work in the daytime.
Right.
And then he also had a janitorial business, and he also worked at the Coliseum in Oakland. And so sometimes we'd go over there and he'd have to work at the Coliseum. So we'd be running around the Coliseum and he'd be working.
Yeah.
Or, you know, he would like my technical first real job was working for my dad, and he would clean office buildings sometimes, and then he would have us do certain tasks, and like, you know, I'd change like the waste baskets and stuff, and he would give us money for it.
I was gonna say, he paid you. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then sometimes we'd have fun, you know, obviously, like my dad, he's so cheap, but so anything like, you know, we thought it was like, oh, this is an adventure, but he's like, I'm trying to save money. So we're like, we'd always go to flea markets and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I know that. Yeah.
Like he loved a flea market. He loved to like finding, you know, a sister from the church. You know, oh, is she having dinner? We'll go over there so he doesn't have to cook. You know, like that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, but yeah, I wouldn't say it was just like party. I would say, but it was different than my mom, obviously. Like, you know, because we were there Monday through Friday. So
there was
school,
more structure with mom.
Yeah, I would say. Did
she cook?
Oh yeah,
Good cook.
my mom's a good cook.
Yeah. So she doesn't seem like your mom was like too into like dieting or anything. So like when she would cook, it would be like good hearty food, not like here's some like dry chicken breast with broccoli.
Oh no.
It was good.
Yeah, it was good. But she would be like, my mom was like, for the time, maybe like a little ahead of her time, because there were so many things like she would not allow us to eat that like all the other kids would eat.
Like what?
Like I didn't grow up drinking Kool-Aid.
Wow. Okay.
She was like, no.
She's like, that's red dye 40.
But
she didn't say it was red dye 40.
Right,
She just knew.
Yeah, she was like, that's bad for your kidneys. That's what she was
She
saying.
just knew. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like I didn't grow up drinking Kool-Aid. I didn't grow up like, she wouldn't buy us a lot of those like sugary cereals.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we were getting crazy, like if she was feeling generous, maybe we get like a Fruit Loop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or maybe a Frosted Flake. But usually it was like, checks, like rice checks or corn checks or wheat checks, Cheerios, You know.
Yeah. So she just had this like inclination to not stock the house with like sugary.
Yeah, there was just like certain things. I mean, obviously there was some stuff that was definitely not good. Like, you know, she would buy like chips and stuff for us to put in our lunch and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it just like it blows people's minds sometimes when I'm like when I would used to tell them like, yeah, I didn't grow up drinking Kool-Aid. And they're like, what? I'm like, no.
Yeah, like literally everybody.
Yeah, I was like, no, my mom wouldn't buy it. If I ever had Kool-Aid, and I've had Kool-Aid before.
Yeah.
But it was never in my house.
Right.
It was like, I'm at a friend's house or my cousin's house.
Well, that's kind of why I was asking about like being at your dad's compared to your mom's, like if the food was different or like,
it was different, but it was more strict.
More strict at mom's.
At my dad's.
At dad's. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, because my dad, so for the first like maybe 12 years of my life, we were Muslim.
Really?
Yeah, and then we converted
to
Christianity.
Oh, okay.
So I couldn't have pork. I didn't have a marshmallow until I was 12.
Oh my god, yeah, because they're made from pork.
Yeah, and so the gelatin in it. Yeah, so he was way more strict, like as far as food, dietary stuff.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so.
So was your dad Muslim and your mom?
My mom was not Muslim, but she, when they were married, she would just like, you know, Muslim. She didn't fully convert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then at 12, your dad converts to Christianity. Mm-hmm. So what was that like opening up? Like that changes a lot for a 12-year-old because now there's different holidays you're not doing anymore, right?
Yeah, so I used to get double holidays, which I loved.
Oh, right? Nice.
Because I would have Christmas at my mom's house, and then we'd have Eid at my dad's house, which is a celebration at the end of Ramadan.
Yes.
And, you know, I always felt like, oh, I'm so special because I have all these things, you know, these different things I get to do. I think the biggest thing was my dad. Like a lot of changes happened all at once. So my dad converted, he married someone new, he moved to a new city. So it was like a lot going on at the one time. And man, going to Christian church when you had never, it's so much different because he went to like a non-denominational church. Okay. And that was the first time I ever saw people like get the Holy Ghost and that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what's happening? And like, they're like covering this lady with a blanket and stuff. And I'm like, what's happening? And then there's just like people with flags dancing. And I was just like, huh? It took a minute. But I was just like, okay. I'm like definitely the chillest of my siblings.
I was going to say, you sound so open and just like, okay, this is what we're doing now.
Yeah, well, and at that time when my dad remarried, I was the only one underage. Okay. So everyone else was
already adults,
and so I'm the only one who's going over there.
Right.
Yeah.
Experiencing this.
Right. So they didn't have to. They kind of like could opt out.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was interesting, but it was just like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so for you growing up, were you in sports or in theater or anything? Like, what were the extracurriculars?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I did basketball. And then as I got older, I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this. Too much running. Yeah. And then and then I started singing. I was in the choir. And then when I got to high school, I did theater. And then I actually went to college for theater.
Oh, cool. Awesome. So theater became more of like a presence in your life. And so
I thought it was going to be on Broadway.
Yeah, that was the goal.
I still do think I'm going to be
on Broadway. You'll still be on Broadway.
Yeah. But, that was the goal.
So, okay, so it's probably like middle school, high school when the theater thing started.
Oh, yeah. High school, full force, for sure.
Okay, so full force in high school. So what was your body type like in high school? Big boobs,
hippie. Basically like how I am now, but I was probably like a size 12 to 14.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So when it came to being in theater, like, did you ever feel the pressure around your weight? Like, were you thinking about your body as a size 12 in high school? Thinking you should be
Mm,
smaller, bigger?
you know, maybe, but I don't think that it was more. It was less about my body and more about like how I presented myself in
Okay.
comparison to other girls who had like boyfriends in high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or and I would like people. I was never like, oh, he doesn't like me because I'm a big girl. I never felt that. It was always like, what? Like, I really like this guy. Why doesn't he like me? Am I being too forward? I'm too overzealous. Like, I felt like it was more that. Like, I
Right.
was too eager.
Like you're too much.
Yeah, I was a little too eager. I just calmed that down. Like barely. I know. Ask my boyfriend. He's like, no, she didn't. But sometimes I can be very eager person. But yeah, I never really thought about that. I think I probably thought more that way when I was in middle school.
Okay, interesting.
But high school, I was kind of like, I would float between different groups.
Okay.
So I never felt like,
Yeah.
you know, like I was in a bunch of different groups.
Yeah.
And, you know, I didn't start dressing cute till I got to college. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'm good.
Where did you go out of state for college? Did you stay in California?
I stayed in California.
Okay.
I went to college in Los Angeles, actually.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when you, I guess, yeah, that's what got you to LA.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were in college, did you feel that, or were you still just the same? Like,
No, I didn't feel that in college. Not as far as like dating goes. Now, I will tell you, like, because I went to school for theater, musical theater, and there are parts and roles that traditionally is a very specific body type, and I wanted to do all the different roles. And obviously there were these like people like, oh, you know, maybe not, it's not really your type, you know.
right. So
That's when the I think that's when the idea of like type came in,
right.
and it was from like theater.
Okay, that makes sense. And I was actually talking to one of my an interview I had done a while ago, Christy Hall. She was talking about this, and she was saying how she was in theater, musical theater, and she would be in situations where the casting director was actually saying, like, you sing better, like you have a better presence, and you know, for a certain role, but we have to cast the person that looks more the role. So do you think you encountered that at all? Or maybe you were a better performer, but they typecasted you otherwise?
I would say so. I would say in college, not so much because it was like a learning and teaching environment.
Got
so
it.
we played all different types of characters. But when I started venturing out to like auditioning for stuff, because I started auditioning while I was still in college, it was very like, you know, if I auditioned for Aladdin, they're not seeing me for Jasmine.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and despite the fact that obviously I'm black, but I mean, there's a bunch of Filipino girls playing Jasmine.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
But yeah, but that's not like the part that I would be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or even like if I audition for Lion King. So when I was in college, I auditioned a lot for Disney because it was just, they had a lot of auditions.
Yeah.
And it was just easy to go to those auditions between classes and stuff. Like if I audition for Lion King, they're not seeing me for Nala.
Right.
You know, I'm like a storyteller or like Rafiki, you know, character,
right.
which is fine because I actually think they have better singing parts. So it didn't bother me too much because for me, the more interesting characters tended to have my body type or my type or vibe or
right.
whatever. You know what I mean?
That is such a impressive point of view to have, because I feel like I'm somebody that tends to just wish I could be somebody that I'm not, instead of maybe taking the road of realizing like, no, the more you can get the role of more interesting characters. Interesting.
They are more interesting.
Yeah.
And, well, I will tell you though, is when I was really young, you know, I was, you know, like 19, and I would audition for these like tours and stuff. All the parts I want to play are like they'd be like 20 years older than me.
Right.
And I don't look like that, but I have the body type of the character, but not the age type.
Right.
And that was really frustrating. That was more frustrating for me than the body thing.
Right.
Because then, you know, I remember one of the first tours I ever auditioned for was Rock of Ages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then the casting director was like, I really like you, but like you're too young.
I mean, as you're talking, I'm looking at your face and like you don't have a wrinkle. Like your skin is amazing.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. But yeah, and I'm just like, that's you know, I just want to like do the part.
Too young.
Yeah, dude. I was like, I thought you liked youth in this business.
Yeah, totally.
And I was like, why when I want to play someone who's older, I'm like I look too young, but then they have like 30-year-olds playing teens.
I know. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was just hanging out with some high school friends this past weekend, and we were watching Seventh Heaven.
Oh boy.
Because we grew up Catholic. So
yeah,
like,
but you know about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. Check his hard drive. No. So
they did.
Yeah. And
he's guilty.
Guilty. I wonder what Reverend Camden thinks about that. But we were watching at Seventh Heaven. And it's like, how old is the kid that plays Matt? Like, he's supposed to be 15 there. He like legitimately looks 23.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
He probably was.
Because then as we were watching, like, you know, we'd watch like an episode from the first season and then jump to like the 10th season. And we were like, how come Ruthie, like the youngest one, she seems to be her age? And I was like, they probably actually did cast her at her age as like a 5-year-old. And so like we're watching the show where she actually is 15, whereas Lucy, she probably was casted as a 12-year-old but was actually 16. So that's why she looks so much older, you know.
Right.
So
it's like Lily from Modern Family. She kind of grew as it went.
It's kind of like weird when it's like they're casted as their actual age and the other people aren't. It's like kind of it's just funny. Yeah. But okay, so in theater, and so you are a performer, you do stand up now.
Yeah.
Did you find yourself like diverting from doing musical theater into stand up, or are you still trying to like juggle it all? Like, do you still do musical theater?
No, I don't. I want to eventually go back and do musical theater, but like comedy is just so hard.
Yeah, it's so time consuming.
And it's just a difficult skill that I don't have time to do both. And they also convene at the same time.
Right.
You know, shows are at the same time. And I just was like, hey, like, let's not be mediocre at two things.
Right.
Let's just like, we're pursuing stand up right now. Like I'm in my 8th year of stand up. And so, I mean, and I feel like this is the first time I actually feel like, okay, you kind of funny.
Spoken like a true comic, like thinking like your actual shit. I know.
I'm funny, I guess.
I don't understand the comics that think they're good. I'm like, I mean, you have more followers on Instagram than I do, but like, I just could never get that confidence to be like, I'm good at this after 2 years. Like, no.
2 years? Yeah, no. I was not. I was okay at 2 years, but not anything crazy. But yeah. I'm like, yeah, like this is the first year. I'm like, okay. And so I need, you know, the goal is to do this like as my full-time gig.
Totally.
And then, you know, become popular enough that I can just be on Broadway.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, wow, she sings too.
Yeah.
I'm like, I do.
Yeah. Yep. Like people didn't see that Tony coming for you, but
I know, my unexpected EGOT, honey.
Yeah.
I'm like, I spent a lot of money on musical theater college. I gotta pay for this somehow.
Well, I think like when it comes to you performing as a stand-up, that theater background must help a ton, because it's like stand-up is a very hard skill to perform, but it's the writing, it's the coming up with the material, but you have that natural stage presence because of your training.
Yeah, it did help a lot, because when I first started doing stand-up, people thought I was like 3 to 5 years in,
because you had that natural presence.
Right, and I was like, no.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so that was really helpful, because I remember starting and seeing guys at open mics and so awkward on stage, like so
Yeah.
awkward. Like they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do with their body. They don't know what to do with anything.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I actually started taking acting classes to help with that. But because it's like, before I did stand up and to some degree now, but you kind of break yourself of it just because you work at it. But I had really bad stage fright where like I would get on stage and just like clam up and forget. So I started taking acting classes to help get me out of my head. And it's been helping a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It really has. And I really enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
Like now I could see myself maybe like doing some acting and like sketches or, you know, going out for auditions for shows. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, theater specifically is like, it's a whole different animal than like, you know, some people legit will just do not stage, do on camera acting and not do stage acting.
Yeah.
And stage acting helps so much more with like stand up because you're actually on a stage. So that's why when the first time I got up on stage, even though I didn't have no jokes, it was not good. I felt comfortable because it was familiar.
Right.
And I was just like, oh, yeah, I'm used to this.
Yeah.
I mean, stage left, stage right, upstage, up,
Even
right.
having that information is so
I always
crucial.
find my light, honey. I
Yeah.
always find my light. Where is it?
there you are.
Yeah. So that helped a lot. And I mean, I always tell people like, so how I even started doing stand up was I moved. So I left LA for a little bit after college because I was broke and couldn't afford to live there. So I went home and then did theater up there for about almost 5 years. And then I moved back to LA and I decided like, hey, let's like try and do something else. I was like, I taught myself to write. And so I started writing like webisodes and stuff like that. And I was like, is this funny? Like, I don't even know. I'm just over here like in my hovel writing.
Yeah.
And so like I put a Facebook blast out like, hey, is anyone like, you know, like interested in writing or like want to have like a meeting and like read over each other's stuff? And a college friend was like, hey, my friend, she does comedy and she writes. You should meet up with her. And I was like, okay. So we met and she read my stuff and she's like, this is funny. It's great. She's like, I run a mic. If you ever want to just like read it on stage, you can hear what it sounds like. You can like come. And I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't going to do that. And and then one night I was just like, had nothing to do. And I remembered she had this mic. And I was like, oh, I'll just go out and support her. Had no intention of like getting on stage or anything. And I just saw, you know, bad comic after bad comic after bad comic. You know, just bad comedy. A lot of dead baby jokes. And it was like when they started dying, they were all telling dead baby jokes and suicide jokes. And I was like, how are they all telling the same joke?
They're seeing it not work and they're still doing it.
Yeah. And so then I was just like, okay, like I could do this. And I go up there and I was not good. But I got enough of a chuckle.
Yeah.
And being on stage was like so familiar to me. And I was like, oh, okay. I think maybe if I actually work at this, I could be good.
That's awesome.
And that's how I started
Yeah.
stand up.
Just did that open mic one time and then it just off to the races.
Yeah.
I
comics.
love it.
Thank
Thank God for bad comics, right?
A lot of dead baby jokes. Just like, Jesus.
How do you feel about self-deprecating humor? Like if someone that's plus size goes up there and talks about their body negatively.
I don't mind that, you know, as long as it's funny. It has to be funny.
That's the kicker.
Yeah, number one, it has to be funny. I don't do that. Why I don't do that? I don't really have a reason why. I don't find it interesting. Like for me, it's not interesting, so I don't really talk about it. I maybe have one joke where I reference my body in that way, and it's not even the premise. It's just a tag, and so yeah. No, I don't know.
I don't get the sense throughout this conversation that you have ever been made to feel bad about your body. Do you feel like, have you ever felt bad about your body or been made to feel bad about it?
Sure. Definitely have, you know, people have made me feel bad about my body, but like, who are they? Like,
yeah.
I'm the only one. Like, I decided this when I was really young. Don't ask me how I came up with this or what was the epiphany, but I just remember when I was in 6th grade deciding like, you don't need to be talking bad about yourself too much because that's not your job. There's enough people in this world to talk badly about you, and you shouldn't add to it.
Wow. How do you get that wisdom? I had the exact opposite. So I feel like when I go on, I feel like the root of especially when I first started doing stand up, the root of me going on stage and talking badly about myself is because I feel like I've always been made to feel bad about the way that I look and like have never been happy with my body at all. And so like that's where the jokes come from. And I kind of give myself a pass because if they're funny, then like that's good. But I've like tested out different times of like a set where I talk exclusively about my body and how that felt, and then like a set where like I don't bring it up at all. And it always feels better when I don't bring it up at all.
Yeah. I also don't think it's that interesting.
Right.
Like, that's why I just don't do it. I'm like, it's not like once you make like 2 I'm fat jokes, it's like, okay, now what? Like, yeah, we saw you when you came on stage.
Yeah.
Like, you're not telling us anything new. And comedy is all about the element of surprise, the misdirect. Like, if you're gonna tell jokes about how you're a busty girl and you just walked on stage with all that titty, like
then they know it.
Yeah, they already know. So like, yeah, for me, it's not interesting.
Right. I love that perspective.
Yeah,
that's
it's just
great.
Not interesting to me.
Right. Okay.
Like, tell us something we don't know.
Yeah. So why do you think at 6th grade you were like, I'm not going to be the one to do this to myself because there's going to be other people that do it for me?
I don't know. I can't even tell you because I was so young.
Right.
But I remember having that feeling like I'm not going to talk bad about myself because so many, like growing up, I was a kid who was, I always had friends, but then there was always like this, I drooled a lot. And I still do. I just I produce more saliva than regular people. Whatever. It's just what it is.
What an ailment.
Dude, I drooled a lot. Like my mom used to put me in those like plastic art smocks all the time because I drooled all the time. So like it was like that. So like that was a point of like, teasing or whatever. And I had some situations when I was young where everyone in my little friend group got invited to a birthday party except me. That kind of thing. I know. Now that's one thing, like I still think about it and I was like, bitch, you should not be thinking about this. This happened when you were like in 5th grade. Like relax.
So significant though, because you remember.
I remember like really like, that's a real FOMO. You know? And me trying to like, figure out why I was the only one not invited and then trying to like kind of invite myself on the day of and they're like, nah. Like cruel. It was like a whole like so I know
cruel.
I'll put it in a TV show one day, but and then I'll feel better about it because I'll make money off of it. But like for me, that's more significant than like people talking about my body. Like I just felt like it was all these other things. Like kids are very creative and so they'll come up with some other stuff. Like my last name's Sabir, so people used to be like, oh, beer, your name has beer in it. Yeah,
which is like devastating to a kid for some reason.
Yeah, it's just like so weird. And so I don't know, and then my mom was like, I would say even though my mom was like pretty heavy and my grandmother was really heavy, like my mom's mom was actually like morbidly obese and actually passed away from that. I never felt like my mom like spoke super poorly about herself in front of me. And she always seemed very confident because my mom's very smart and she knows she's smart, which is annoying sometimes, but and she was always very good at like whatever she did, like academically or at work and things like that. And she's tall, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so like, I didn't think that like, oh, I can't be like that.
Yeah, I'm taking up too much space. No. That didn't come through your head.
No, not in that way. Maybe I used to like make my voice smaller, I think.
To be more taller. Like
dainty.
Yeah, to be more delicate.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure. But yeah, I feel like I had way more other insecurities. Like, I
Right.
had eczema. My hands are real dry.
Mm.
Like I was more insecure about like that, like the drooling, the dry hands.
Probably wet yourself too. You're just a
Yeah,
mess.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say like I had some kind of extraordinary childhood or whatever, like as opposed to everyone else. I had insecurities like any other girl
Right.
in middle school, especially when little girls first started like dating, which you're not dating. I'm like, if he can't take you somewhere, afford to
I
take you
know.
somewhere, you're not dating.
I know. Yeah.
But like, when you're like in 7th grade, 6th grade, that's when girls start having boyfriends.
Yeah.
And that was not my experience.
Same. I always, it killed me. I like was the only girl that I never had a boyfriend.
Yeah, I never
like
had
that
a boyfriend. I didn't
in
have one in
middle
high
school.
school. I didn't.
Me neither.
My first boyfriend was when I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, but I never really connected that with like, I didn't put a lot of credence on it for my body.
Right.
I felt like it was more like other stuff.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm weird.
You're just built different. Yeah. I mean, you still had that like girl anxiety and not anxiety, but like what were we saying? Like
insecurities.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
all children have when they're going through that kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. That transition from like, you're not a little kid, but you're not an adult. You're like in that weird in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your relationship with your body now?
Now I try very hard to take care of my body, and like, you should see my For You page. You were like saying it's all like astrology stuff. Mine is like homesteading.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
It's like homesteading, organic, like how to make laundry detergent, and like how to make things from scratch. And
That
like,
comes
yes.
it all starts from the beginning. Your mom was like, no Kool-Aid. That stuff ruins your body, and now you're just like all natural.
Yeah, like I'm getting rid of all the plastic in my kitchen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I use like only natural soaps now, and like that kind of stuff. Yeah, like, so I'm all on that right now. That's me. And then I wrote my boyfriend in that too.
Is he like, God damn, or is he down with that?
No, he's down.
Nice.
No,
Good.
no.
Good.
Well, I'm just like, let's try this. And
Yeah.
he's like, okay. And then he's like, oh, I like that. Boy, girl, when I tell you, that boy, his skin was terrible before I met him. I changed his soap, gave him some moisturizer, and now he's looking good.
That's what women do, man. We give them a skincare routine and get them into therapy, and then they're all set. Now they're ready to be dads or whatever.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm very much like into the holistic kind of thing right now. So we've been trying like different things.
That's great.
And we exercise, and yeah, I actually recently sometimes I'll do like what do they call them, quote unquote diets, but it's not really. It's just we're just trying something to see how, a different lifestyle to see if we like it, how our body feels on it and everything. And so we recently did the carnivore.
Okay. Can you tell me about this?
Wow. Well, when I tell you, like, it's crazy, right? Because it's like you're just eating meat, and
Yeah.
people are like bugging. Like when I told my cousins, she's like, "Oh, no, my gosh, no, you can't do that."
Yeah.
I'm like, it's 30 days, dude. Like, relax.
Right.
It's not. We were just trying to see how we felt, and honestly, probably even though it's super restrictive, as far as like diversity in different types of food, you can have so much different types of meat though, and it was the easiest diet I've ever done because I love meat.
Is it all kinds of meat, like chicken, or is it like red
if
meat?
you're gonna do a strict one, you really only do beef,
Right.
but we did like some chicken, some beef, but mostly beef. And so we mix it up. Like sometimes I would just like make a beef stew, and it would just be like beef broth and the beef, and then I would do like hamburgers, but no bread, obviously.
No bun.
We're just like
Yeah.
and then steaks, short ribs, like so many different things. And I will tell you this: skin cleared up, No bloat, no gas, like more energy, like I don't know.
So you'll try different things for like 30 days at a time just to see how it makes you feel.
Yeah, just to check in, because like basically the all meat diet, it sounds crazy. It's not actually a restrictive diet. What it is an elimination diet. So you pare down what you're consuming to like one thing so that your body can re-regulate itself. And then so it can focus on just digesting this one thing instead of trying to digest all these different things.
Yeah.
And then you slowly introduce things back in and see how your body reacts to them.
Interesting.
And then you can see, when I eat this, I get more gas, or I get indigestion, or I get this or that, or
so
whatever.
you would slowly introduce things.
Mm-hmm.
So how long was it just doing the meat?
30 days.
30 days. And then you started introducing things back in. So just to clarify, like no vegetables? No. So like
the only vegetables we had a little onion. Like sometimes we would do onion with our beef, and then we do some dairy. So like cheese, some cheese, and eggs.
And eggs.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So yeah, no, it was no veggies.
Wow. And you liked it?
I actually liked it.
Do you think that's something you would like continue to do?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, after this trip we're just like being free because
you're in New York City.
And it's our vacation.
Yeah.
So, but like, yeah, we're going back on the meat.
And it's birthday, so it's like, you know.
Yeah, we're going back to the meat.
I had a question about that. I just lost it. Oh, do you drink alcohol?
Yes, but not a lot.
Not a lot. So
when we did the meat diet, we did not drink alcohol.
Okay. Because I was going to ask, that's like a variable that will affect, everything that you just said. Okay, so just water. Do you drink soda?
And sometimes tea with no adding anything.
Yeah.
No.
No. Do you drink coffee?
No.
Wow. You get by on just tea?
Yeah. Or nothing.
Or nothing.
Yeah, I'm not a coffee person.
You're not a caffeine head?
No.
Were you ever?
No.
I'm so jealous.
I mean, I would drink, sometimes I would drink coffee. Like, if I ever drink coffee, it's just for the flavor.
Not for the caffeine.
No.
Yeah. My brother did the podcast, and he was telling me how he doesn't drink coffee. And he's like, when you get tired at night and you're addicted to caffeine, it's actually your body craving caffeine. It's not like a true tired. And so that's why like your circadian rhythm's all off. And I'm like... I know. I'm to the point with caffeine where it's like I wake up and I don't immediately need to drink it. But if I go past a certain point where I don't drink it, I know later on in the day I'm going to get a headache. And it's like, you don't want to be dependent on anything like that.
Yeah. So, sounds like cigarette smoking.
Yes.
Like
no, it really is.
Smoking.
Yeah. It's just another addiction.
Yeah. I just never was into it as much.
I think actually coffee is harder to give up than cigarettes.
Yeah. Oh, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's also everywhere.
Yeah.
And I used to work at a coffee shop.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And people would be like, ooh, which one of these do you like? I'm like, I was told this one tastes good.
Yeah. You're like,
I don't drink coffee.
Yeah, I don't drink coffee.
I love black tea though, which has caffeine.
It does.
But I like it for the flavor, not the caffeine.
It does have a nice flavor. I do like, but I also like black tea with a little bit of honey.
No, honey's good.
No. Oh yeah, I guess honey's better.
I love it with like lemon.
Yeah.
It depends on the type of black tea. I like English. I swear I was British in another life because I love British teas.
Are you a Anglophile? You like British
I don't know.
stuff?
Well, I don't know about that, but I like British tea.
Yeah, you just love your tea.
British tea.
Man, so have you ever dealt with like any kind of mental health issue, like depression, anxiety?
Not in a sense of like, if I ever did, it was like situational. Yeah. Nothing like chronic or ongoing. It was always like because something's happening.
Right.
Or like when I was in college, it was very stressful. I remember that's the first time I ever had a panic attack because I went to I went to musical theater college, and how our school was set up, it was very intense. It wasn't like a regular college where like, oh, you have a couple classes, then you have a 2-hour break. And
yeah.
No, you go to school all day, and you have breaks in between, but I went to school Monday through Friday. I didn't have like a lecture hall day or
Right.
something like that.
Right.
I went to school every day, and it was intense, 15 weeks, and then you stop, you get like a couple weeks off, and then you start again. And I just remember, like, dance is not my strongest thing. I always say I'm an extreme mover. But we were doing this dance, and we were doing partnering work, and like it just wasn't coming together, and my partner was terrible, and he kept stepping on me, and I was falling, and I just was like, I had a panic attack because I was like freaking out, because I was like, I want to be good at this, and I'm not, and like this is, and I was just like worried about doing well. And my teacher like talked me down and everything, and I was like, ooh, that was weird.
It's so funny, like someone experiencing anxiety like that a little bit later. And because like I was never able to name the fact that I was like having anxiety or having panic attacks. I just kind of like realized when I got a little bit older, like, oh, that's what was happening to me. But like when you're in your 20s or early 20s and it's like all of a sudden you have a panic attack, like, did you feel like you were dying? Because it's so scary. It's so scary.
Yeah, I probably had like maybe 3 or 4 in my life total.
Enough that you can keep track of them.
Yeah, like probably like I had one once when I was in 2021. I was buying a car, and I was going to go buy a car, and I checked my credit score, and it was like drastically low, and I had been working with this like credit building company, and I was like, how is this lower? And I started freaking out because I'm like, I need to get a car today, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to car, and I'm like started freaking out. I'm like
that is a scary thing.
Yeah, like I legit needed to get a car that day.
Yeah.
And so I was like freaking out, and then it ended up like being fine, but I was like freaking out. I was like, what is this? This is crazy. But yeah.
Are you a perfectionist?
I would say no. I learned, like, I had a teacher in college, say once, like, perfection is the enemy of art, and I took that to heart. And so I can only do as well as I can do.
Right.
And I come with everything that I have, and I always know when I'm half-assing it, and when I'm doing it full out.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing it full out and it doesn't have the desired result, I can be fine with the fact that I did
your best.
Right, my best.
Can you write a self-help book? Because I like everything about this.
Well, I'm also a nanny, so like,
okay,
it's really good because I see humans in the beginning stages of life when you're like the most impulsive.
Yeah,
when you don't know anything but you think you know everything, and it's really interesting. It's a good reminder.
Yeah,
like, watching kids and then being like, why did you do that?
Yeah, man. Kids are just so, I know like this is like kind of cliche, but kids are just so pure. Like they don't, I feel like now, even more so now, younger generations like don't, like last weekend, I was in Denver at a cat cafe.
Of course.
There were a bunch of kids running around. And this one little girl, she couldn't have been more than 4, like was, playing with the cat, and the cat like did a spin or something, and she goes, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of you." And I saw that, and I thought, she hears that. That's why she's able to say, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of you." And like those words never would have come out of my mouth at that age, because like I wasn't hearing, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of you." And so it's because I used to nanny myself, and like just seeing little kids that are just like so sure of themselves and just
it's so
have
funny.
Good self-esteems.
Yeah, we're out of time.
No, it's fine. I actually didn't know it was gonna
make sound.
That can be our warning though. It'd be great if it stops. There we go.
Yeah, one of my kids a week ago, I have 3 kids right now. And just so happened this one day I only had the one kid, and he has like a lot of things. I always say he has all the isms. He has like autism, astigmatism, all the things.
Yeah.
And so like he is a little more, than the other 2. But when it's just him, he's very chill. We have a good time. We had a good day. And we're coming home. And he goes, John, you're the best. And I go, thanks, Tobes. You're the best. And he's like, I am the best.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Warms my little heart.
Literally. I am the best.
Yeah,
I
so
love that.
funny.
Wow. I am the best. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up, but I'm curious. Mm-hmm. So something that's happening a lot in pop culture, and I didn't ask you this before, like when I sent you over like stuff we might talk about, but I'm curious your thoughts. Everybody's on Ozempic.
Ugh.
What's your feelings? What do you think? Do you think it's going to be here to stay? Do you think that eventually people are going to get over it and we'll go back to like just being fine with what we have, or what are your thoughts?
I think it'll always be around for sure. I'm sure in the next 10 years, studies are going to come out where it like ravages some part of your body that's irreparable, and people are going to be more weary to get on it. I don't like it. I told you my For You page is holistic.
That's right.
Like,
yeah. You're.
Yeah. I'm like, you don't need, like, if you want to lose weight for your health, there are other ways to do that. Maybe, go for a walk. Like, stop drinking sugary drinks.
Yeah.
Like even like those like small things can improve your life like exponentially. Drinking more water, like that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm not a fan of like injecting something to make something easier. Now I understand like for some people they're in like a dire situation.
Yeah.
And maybe they need something to accelerate that so that they are not on the precipice of death. But I think it should be given to get off of.
Right.
Like it just gets you to a point so that you can do it on your own.
Yeah.
And not depending on the drug, because what that drug does, it's not even that it curbs your stomach hunger, it's your brain. It affects your brain.
Yeah.
So your brain, the signal to your brain that's like I'm hungry is not there. And so like and I'm like don't touch my brain. Like my dad has Alzheimer's right now, and so like all the brain stuff, like I'm like no.
Wow.
Like don't touch my brain.
Wow, absolutely.
It's crazy.
I know, and I think something that when celebrities don't want to get it backlash for being on something like Ozempic, semaglutide, whatever, injectables basically, they'll say like, well, I'm doing this so that I can then learn how to portion control. And it's like, well, you're not learning anything because the voice is being, or that signal is being artificially taken away.
Right.
So when you go off of it, you've learned nothing. If you're learning to go to eat based on your hunger signals, well, you're going to eat more because that hunger signal is coming back.
Yeah.
So
also anything worth having is difficult
to have.
And no one said it's easy. Like,
yeah.
If you're, very overweight and you're having health issues and you need to lose weight for your health, it's not an easy road. It's not a short road, but it's a road worth taking, because not only will you be healthier in the end, all the things you learn along the way are invaluable and you can apply to other parts of your life.
Again, and you really need you to write a self-help book, like for real. Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I think that it's my one of my many problems with Ozempic and like weight loss drugs in general, which is like, if you're listening to this, please do whatever you want to do, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but
exactly. Bodily autonomy, whatever.
Do your research though, I will say.
Yeah. And I think the thing that frustrates me societally is that society thinks that you can just look at somebody and understand if they're healthy or not. And societally, people think that if you're skinny, you're healthy, and if you're fat, you're not. And that's really frustrating, because it's like, I go to the doctor being influenced from society, probably thinking like, oh, I'm probably going to be told I have things wrong with me. And then I go and I get blood work done, and I am like totally, literally the only thing that is off is my BMI, which is a completely flawed thing that isn't even real. It was like created for insurance purposes based on a European man's body type. So like,
Yeah, I don't pay attention.
Has nothing to do with me, you know?
Well, and women naturally have a higher BMI because we have fat for having children.
Yes.
So we have breasts. You need fat in your midsection. You need fat on your hips.
Yeah.
To bear.
It's evolutionary.
For babies.
Oh, man. For those babies.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's,
So,
yeah, I don't.
So you mentioned that your dad is now living with Alzheimer's. So that you probably see something like that and you're like, that's what really matters here is like the functionality of your brain. Never mind like if I'm going to be perceived a certain way, like my body is going to be too big for somebody or too small for somebody. Oh man. So has he had that for a long time, or is this something new?
It's probably been within the last 3 years or so. So it's like starting during COVID and then like really dropped off probably around 21, 22. And so, I mean, my dad's in pretty good spirits. He has his long-term memory.
Okay.
The short term is like spotty sometimes. But I will tell you, every time I talk to my dad, there's two somebodies he always remembers. And that's my dog and my boyfriend.
Oh,
which is hilarious to me.
Probably the things that mean the most to you, right? Oh my God.
And he always asks about them, and it's so funny, you know, because like me and my boyfriend, we dated for like we'll be 2 years next at the beginning of next year.
Mm-hmm.
And so like he's only been here 2 years, and my dad has been through. So he's only met my dad since he's had this. So he didn't know him before, but he remembers him like all the time. He's always asking about him.
Amazing.
So funny.
That's great. I would take that as a sign. I'm like, well, I have to marry this guy.
Oh, he already knows.
Amazing. Okay. Well, you have some time here in New York. This episode is going to be coming out Friday. So if there's anything you want to promote, where can people follow you?
Oh, you can follow me on Instagram at Jihan.Sabir. JIHAN as in Nancy .SAB as in boy IR. And yeah, follow me, like my things.
Amazing.
When I post things, shows, come if you can.
Yes, amazing. Guys, all of the information will be in the description of the show. And until next time, bye.
Bye.